I still remember the night when everything inside me shattered. The night my daughter looked me in the eyes and said something I never thought I'd hear. She whispered, "Mom, please don't hate me." Her voice was trembling. Her face was pale, and behind her words, there was a fear that told me this wasn't just another mistake. This was something deeper, something forbidden. But before I tell you what happened, I want you to do one small thing for me. If you've ever trusted someone so deeply only for them to betray you in a way that broke your soul, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. I want to see how many hearts out there have felt that same sting of betrayal. And don't forget to subscribe, because this story, it changes everything. My name is Claire. I'm 46. I thought I had seen every kind of heartbreak life could throw at a woman, losing love, rebuilding alone, watching your only child grow distant. But nothing could have prepared me for this. After my divorce, I did what I had to. I rebuilt. I worked 2 jobs, saved every cent, and made sure my daughter Lily never felt the emptiness I did. We were more than mother and daughter. We were friends. We shared everything, or so I thought. Until my brother Adam came back into our lives. He was always the charming one, the golden child of the family, the one who got away with everything while I carried the blame. He'd been gone for years, living abroad, barely keeping in touch. Then one day, out of nowhere, he showed up at my doorstep with a grin, a suitcase, and a story about how life had finally humbled him. Lily adored him instantly. She said he made her laugh again, that he reminded her of the family she never really had. And I wanted to believe it. I wanted to believe he had changed. So I welcomed him back. Days turned to weeks, and slowly, I began noticing things that didn't sit right. The way he'd linger a bit too long when Lily talked. The way she blushed when he complimented her. I told myself I was overthinking, that she just needed a father figure. But there was something in Adam's eyes, that old gleam of manipulation I'd seen before. One evening, I came home early from work. The house was quiet, too quiet. I walked up the stairs, calling for Lily, and heard whispers coming from her room. I froze. Her voice was soft, nervous, and then his, Adam's. I pushed the door open. They both jumped apart like guilty strangers. My heart stopped. Lily's face was drenched in tears, and Adam, he had that same half smile, the one that said he knew exactly what he was doing. I didn't scream. I couldn't. My voice felt locked behind the disbelief in my throat. He had crossed a line I never imagined anyone could cross, my own brother and my daughter. The next few days were a blur. Lily couldn't look me in the eye. Adam acted if nothing had happened. He said things like, "It's not what you think," or "You always overreact, Claire." That's what he always did, twisted the truth until you doubted your own sanity. But not this time. I started digging. I went through Lily's phone, her messages, her photos, and what I found wasn't just betrayal. It was grooming, manipulation. He had been shaping her thoughts for months. He made her feel seen, cherished, safe, until she confused his attention for love. That's when the anger came. Cold, quiet, strategic. I didn't want to destroy my daughter. She was as much a victim as I once had been, but I wanted Adam to feel the collapse he had caused in others all his life. So I played along. I told him I forgave him. I told Lily I needed time. And I waited. Because sometimes revenge isn't about screaming, it's about silence. It's about letting the truth become the storm that ruins everything they've built. And when it hit hard. I learned something the hard way. Manipulators don't rush. They weave. Thread by thread, they wrap you in kindness, in jokes, in comfort, until you stop realizing you're trapped. And that's exactly what Adam had done. Not just to Lily, but to me too. He made himself the savior of our home, fixing little things, cooking dinner, taking Lily to her college interviews when I couldn't. He filled every space I was too tired to fill. And before I even realized it, my daughter had started seeing him not just as her uncle, but as someone who understood her in a way I apparently didn't. He'd sit with her in the evenings, listening to her dreams, her heartbreaks, her insecurities, while I, worn out from work, was too busy holding our lives together. That's how he did it. That's how he always did it. He found the cracks and poured himself right in. I started remembering things, flashes from when we were younger. How he used to turn every lie into a half-truth, how he could charm our parents out of any punishment, how he made people believe he cared deeply right before he took what he wanted. And now, years later, he was doing it again with my child. I didn't confront him right away. I needed proof. I needed control. So I started observing, quietly, every word, every glance. At dinner, he'd praise Lily's intelligence, her maturity, saying things like, "You remind me so much of your mom when she was your age." Lily would smile, blushing, not realizing the poison behind his flattery. And I'd sit there, keeping my hands still on the table, pretending to agree, while my heart screamed. One evening, I noticed something that made my stomach turn. Lily was wearing a bracelet, silver, with a small charm in the shape of a heart. It looked familiar, because I'd seen it before. Adam had given me that same bracelet when we were teenagers. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat in my room, holding the photo of us as kids, wondering how someone could grow up to be so hollow. The next morning, I decided to test him. I made breakfast, something I hadn't done in weeks. Adam came down first, grinning, saying, "Wow, Claire, this feels just like old times." And I smiled back and said, "Yeah, I missed having family around." Then I looked him straight in the eyes and held the gaze a little too long. He looked away first. That's when I knew. Lily walked in moments later, cheerful, as if the air between us wasn't thick with secrets. I couldn't take my eyes off her. She was innocent, too innocent to see the web she was caught in. But what broke me most was how happy she looked. Because love, even the wrong kind, has a way of making people glow. So I made a decision. If I couldn't protect her from what had already happened, I would protect her from what could come next. That week, I called my cousin, a psychologist who worked with abuse victims. I didn't give her names, just details. She told me exactly what I feared. He's grooming her, Claire. He's playing on her emotions. The only way to break is to make her see the truth herself. And that's when the plan started to form. I knew Adam's weakness, pride. He needed to feel powerful, admired, in control. So I decided to feed that ego until it became the rope that hung him. I started giving him what he wanted, my trust. I laughed at his jokes again, thanked him for his help, told him how much Lily had changed since he came, and slowly he dropped his guard. He started boasting, subtle things at first. A smirk when Lily said she was grateful for him. A smug tone when he'd say, "She's so much like me, don't you think?" He thought he was winning. He thought I was too naive to see it. But every smile I gave him was a weapon. Every kind word, bait. I began documenting everything: texts, calls, photos, anything that could later speak the truth when emotions couldn't. It wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about justice, about showing my daughter the face behind the mask she loved. Because one day soon, she'd see who he really was, and when she did, the illusion would shatter completely. And I wanted to be ready for that moment. I didn't know it then, but that moment was coming far sooner than I expected. And it would happen in the most heartbreaking way imaginable. It was a Sunday afternoon when I realized my house didn't feel like mine anymore. The laughter in the kitchen wasn't mine. The scent of Adam's cologne lingered longer than any candle I lit, and Lily's footsteps, once light and carefree, now carried hesitation, like she was hiding something behind every breath. I had become a stranger in my own home. Still, I kept my plan alive. Patience, observation, timing. Revenge, true revenge, isn't about shouting or breaking things. It's about silence, about letting the truth reveal itself so powerfully that the person who caused you pain has no escape. That was my weapon. But before I could swing it, I had to make sure Lily would believe what she saw. Because if she didn't, if she chose him over me, I didn't know if I'd ever recover. It started subtly. Adam began getting too comfortable. He'd stroll into Lily's room when she was studying, sit too close on the couch, lingered too long when she hugged him goodbye. And then, one night, I caught a glimpse that confirmed every fear. I had gone downstairs to get a glass of water. The light in the living room was still on. There they were. Lily sitting beside Adam, her head leaning against his shoulder. He had his arm around her, fingers tracing small circles on her back. It looked intimate, too intimate. My heart clenched, but I didn't scream. Instead, I took a deep breath and stepped back quietly. That's when I remembered what my cousin said. You can't tear the illusion apart by force, Claire. You have to make her see the cracks. So, I decided it was time for her to see the man she thought she loved in a different light. The next day, I told Adam I was planning a small family dinner. He smiled that charming smile and said, "Finally, a normal evening again." But the dinner wasn't meant to be normal. It was meant to expose him. I set the table with candles, wine, soft music, his favorite atmosphere. I wanted him relaxed, confident, talkative. When Lily came down, she looked radiant. Hair curled, lips painted a shade too bold for a casual meal. Adam noticed too. His eyes lingered, and I didn't miss it. We ate, we laughed, we reminisced about childhood stories, how Adam used to sneak into my room to steal candy, how he once pretended to be sick to skip school. He was glowing, soaking in the attention. And then I brought up the bracelet. "Lily," I said gently, "that bracelet you're wearing, it's beautiful. Where did you get it?" Her eyes flickered just for a second toward Adam. He smiled. "It was a small gift," he said quickly. "A token of appreciation." "A token of appreciation," I repeated, smiling faintly. "Funny, Adam. You gave me the same one when I was 16. The silence that followed was sharp enough to cut glass. Lily looked at me, then at him. Her smile faltered. "Mom, what do you mean?" I shrugged. "Oh, nothing. I just find it interesting how history repeats itself." Adam laughed nervously, but his charm was cracking. I could see it. The tightening jaw, the flicker of panic in his eyes. Lily stared between us, confused, uneasy. Good. She was starting to see it. Over the next week, things shifted. Lily grew distant from him. She started noticing the things I had seen for months, the controlling tone, the constant flattery, the way he'd twist her words into guilt. But manipulators don't give up easily. When they feel power slipping, they dig deeper. So, Adam began turning it against me. He'd tell Lily I was jealous, that I didn't want her to be happy. He even said I was, quote, projecting old wounds. And for a while, it worked. Lily stopped talking to me. She avoided me at dinner. She left her phone locked, her bedroom door closed. It broke me in ways I can't explain, watching my own daughter slowly slip away, while the man who destroyed my family now controlled hers. But the thing about truth, you can't hide it forever. Because one evening, it revealed itself in the most unexpected way. Lily had gone out with friends. I was cleaning the living room when I heard Adam's phone buzz on the table. He was in the shower. Normally, I wouldn't have looked, but instinct told me to. The message was from a contact named A. It read, "Can't believe you're still playing house with your sister's kid. When are you coming back?" My breath caught. Another woman. Someone who knew. Before I could think, I took a photo of the text and the contact name. Then I placed the phone back exactly where it was. When he came downstairs, dripping water, wrapped in a towel, I looked him in the eye and said softly, "You're slipping, Adam." He froze. "What do you mean?" "You used to be better at covering your tracks." For the first time since he moved in, I saw fear. Not arrogance, not smugness, but raw, cold fear in his eyes. That was the beginning of the end. Because I wasn't just a mother anymore. I was a storm waiting to hit. And when it hit, it would destroy everything he built, including the illusion he had wrapped around my daughter's heart. The morning after I saw that message, I woke up with a calmness that scared even me. It wasn't peace. It was purpose. For months, I had lived in confusion, heartbreak, denial. But now, I had something stronger than pain. I had proof. And I was going to use it. Not with screaming, not with threats. With precision, with patience, with the same psychological manipulation he once used on me. That evening, I invited Adam and Lily to dinner again. The same table, the same wine glasses, the same candles. But this time, I wore the bracelet he had given me years ago, the twin of the one on Lily's wrist. When they walked in, he froze. Just a flicker of recognition, a flash of discomfort, but it was enough. "Oh," I said casually, brushing my hair aside so the bracelet caught the light. "I found it in one of my old boxes. Brings back memories." Lily smiled awkwardly, unaware. Adam poured himself wine, pretending not to care, but I could feel the tension in the air tighten like an invisible wire between us. After dinner, I suggested we play a memory game, something light, nostalgic. I took out a stack of old photos from when we were kids. Lily laughed at the hairstyles, the clothes, the old birthdays. Adam laughed too, but I could see the sweat starting to gather at his temple. Then, I slid one photo forward. It was of me and Adam at a summer carnival, his arm around me, the same smile he now gave my daughter. "That was the year you bought me that bracelet," I said softly. "The same one you gave Lily?" The silence that followed wasn't quiet, it was suffocating. Lily's laugh faded. She looked at Adam, then at me. "Wait, what?" she whispered. "You gave Mom that same bracelet?" Adam's jaw tightened. "It's just a coincidence. I don't even remember that." I leaned forward. "Funny, because I do, and I never forget what comes with it." His eyes met mine. I saw panic flicker like a dying light. Lily stood up slowly, confusion turning to realization. "What's going on here?" she demanded. "Why are you both acting so weird?" I didn't answer. I just smiled faintly, placed my phone on the table, and pressed play. From the speaker came a voice message, the one I had recorded from that text's reply earlier that day. A woman's voice, sharp and annoyed, saying, "You're still pretending to be the doting uncle? Pathetic, Adam. I told you she'd find out eventually." Lily went pale. What is this?" Adam reached for the phone, but I stopped him. "Don't," I said coldly. "You've taken enough already." He tried to defend himself. He said it was fake, that someone was framing him. He spun every excuse he could think of. But lies can't survive the weight of truth, and Lily wasn't blind anymore. I watched as tears filled her eyes. Her hands trembled as she backed away from him. "You lied to me," she whispered. "You told me you loved me." He reached for her. "Lily, please, it's not what you think."
Then what is it? Because I think we both deserve to hear it." He froze, caught between two women, one who had once loved him and one who now saw the man behind the mask. And for the first time in years, he didn't have a word to say. He left that night, slammed the door so hard the windows shook, but the silence that followed wasn't painful anymore. It was healing. Lily collapsed into my arms, sobbing, whispering apologies I didn't need to hear. "I didn't know, Mom. I swear I didn't know." I stroked her hair and whispered, "You don't have to explain. He fooled us both once, but not again." Days passed. Adam tried to call, to message, to twist the story again, but I had learned his patterns. So instead of replying, I forwarded the messages to someone else, his employer. And within a week, Adam lost more than a relationship, he lost his reputation. The company opened an internal investigation after discovering inappropriate relations and conflicts of interest. It turned out he had done the same with another woman before, manipulation under the guise of mentorship. He thought he could rebuild the same pattern forever, but this time, the house of cards fell. One evening, I walked out onto the porch. The air smelled like rain. Lily joined me, her eyes tired but clearer than ever. "I don't know how you stayed so calm, Mom," she said quietly. "Because anger gives them power. Silence takes it away." She nodded, and for the first time I saw strength in her instead of innocence. We had both lost something: trust, safety, illusion. But we had gained something too: awareness, boundaries, and the quiet satisfaction of justice served without chaos. Before we went inside, I looked at her one last time and said, "You'll love again someday, but this time, it'll be real." She smiled faintly. "I know, Mom, because I have you." That night, as the rain began to fall, I finally slept peacefully. Not because I had destroyed him, but because I had reclaimed us. The revenge wasn't loud. It wasn't cruel. It was the calm destruction of his illusion and the rebirth of our truth. It had been 3 quiet months. 3 months since Adam vanished from our lives. 3 months since Lily stopped crying herself to sleep. I thought it was over. But men like Adam, they don't disappear. They circle back, waiting for a moment of weakness. And that moment came one Sunday morning. I was at the farmer's market picking out apples when I felt it, that same sharp chill down my spine. I turned around, and there he was. Adam, standing across the aisle, holding a bouquet of white lilies. The same flowers he brought me the day he told me he wasn't ready for commitment. The same flowers he brought Lily the night he told her he loved her. I almost laughed at the irony. White lilies, pure on the outside, poison beneath. He walked up, pretending to smile. "You look good," he said softly. "You don't." The words slipped out before I could stop them. He chuckled, unfazed. "Look, can we talk, just for a minute?" "There's nothing left to talk about." "Please," he said, stepping closer. "It's not what you think. You've turned everyone against me. Lily won't even answer my calls." "Good," I replied. She finally learned to block the number that only ever brought her pain. But he didn't leave. He followed me as I walked through the crowd, still talking, still spinning stories. "You told her lies," he said under his breath. "You wanted to ruin me." I stopped, turned around slowly, and looked him in the eyes. "You ruined yourself, Adam. I just stopped hiding it." For a split second, the mask slipped. The calm, charming man cracked open, and I saw the anger he used to hide behind smiles. "You think you're the hero? You think people believe you? They don't need to. The truth doesn't need an audience. It just needs time."
That's when he changed tactics. He tried to guilt me, tried to sound small, broken, remorseful. I made mistakes, he said softly. I loved her because she reminded me of you. I was lost. I stared at him, disgusted. You don't love anyone, Adam. You consume them. You make them believe they're special until they see who you really are. He looked away, pretending to wipe his eyes. You always did know how to hurt me. No, I said quietly. You always did that to yourself. Before I could walk away, he reached into his pocket and held out an envelope. Just read it. It's my side of the story. Maybe someday you'll understand. I didn't take it. There is no side of a story where a man manipulates a woman and her daughter. He looked desperate now. I've lost everything, Claire. You've won. Isn't that enough? I stepped closer. This was never about winning. This was about ending what should have ended years ago. He swallowed hard. You think you're better than me? No, I said calmly. Just free from you. And with that, I turned my back on him, the simplest, most powerful revenge there is, because people like him crave attention more than love. And silence is the only punishment they can't survive. 2 days later, I found that same envelope in my mailbox. He had mailed it. Out of curiosity, or maybe closure, I opened it. Inside was a letter written in his careful handwriting. You'll tell people I'm the monster, that's fine. But you and I both know what really happened. You were lonely, you needed someone to blame. You'll miss me when your daughter leaves you too. I smiled, not because it didn't hurt, but because it was predictable. The same manipulation wrapped in words. The same weapon he'd always used. Guilt. So, I folded it neatly, placed it back in the envelope, and dropped it into the trash. No fire, no dramatic tear, just a quiet burial of everything he ever was to us. Weeks later, I found he'd moved out of town, started a new job somewhere far away. Maybe a new life, maybe new lies. But that was no longer my concern, because for the first time, our home felt light again. Lily had started painting, her laughter returned, her walls filled with color. And me? I started writing again. Words poured out of me, not pain anymore, but release. I wrote about women who rise after betrayal, about mothers who protect with silence, and about how sometimes the real revenge is peace. One evening, while recording my thoughts, I looked into the camera and said, if you've ever been betrayed, don't chase closure, build it. Then I smiled faintly. And never let anyone convince you that your quiet strength isn't power. If you're still watching this story, tell me in the comments, have you ever had to walk away to win? Don't forget to subscribe because the next story might just remind you that justice doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. A full year passed. The seasons changed. Leaves fell, snow came and went, and with every sunrise, the shadow of that past life faded a little more. Lily had turned 19. Her smile looked real now, not like before when she forced it to hide the cracks. She'd cut her hair short, dyed it copper, said she wanted to shed the skin of her mistakes. I didn't correct her. We all needed our own rituals of release. Our home had changed too. The couch that once held arguments was replaced with one big enough for us both to curl up on Sunday mornings. There were no flowers from anyone, only the scent of coffee and quiet peace. One afternoon, I got a message from a friend in another city. A short text, almost casual. Didn't your ex-brother-in-law used to work at Bright Tech? You won't believe what came out about him. I froze. Adam. Out of habit, I opened the link. A headline glared back at me. Corporate manager exposed for manipulation and fraud. Employees speak out. I didn't read the whole thing. I didn't need to. There it was, the universe doing what it always does, balancing. I wasn't gloating. I wasn't celebrating. It was just quiet satisfaction, like watching a storm finally drift out to sea. That night, Lily came into my room holding her phone. "Mom," she said softly, "I saw the news." I looked up from my book. "Yeah, I did too." She sat beside me, hesitating. "Do you think that's karma?" I smiled gently. "I think sometimes karma just takes the scenic route." She laughed through her nose, the kind of laugh that holds a sigh at the end. "I don't hate him anymore," she said quietly. "I just feel sorry." "That's growth, sweetheart," I whispered. "Not forgiveness, just freedom." We sat in silence for a while. The lamp cast a soft glow on the old photographs lined along my dresser, one of Lily as a child covered in cake frosting, another of me, younger, smiling without fear. "Do you ever miss the way things used to be?" Lily asked suddenly. I thought about it. The laughter before the lies, the love before it turned into control. "No," I said finally, "because now I know peace isn't loud. It's steady, and it's ours." She nodded slowly, resting her head on my shoulder. We stayed like that for a long time, the kind of silence that doesn't ache anymore. Months later, I began writing my first book, a story inspired by us, though I changed the names, softened the edges. It wasn't about revenge, it was about healing. The publisher called it Echoes of the Unsaid. They said it was raw, emotional, powerful. I said it was simply the truth told out loud. The day it launched, Lily surprised me with flowers. White lilies, the same kind Adam once used to manipulate both of us. But this time, they meant something else. "You took them back," I told her, smiling. "No," she said, "we reclaimed them." That night, I recorded the final voiceover for my video, the one that would close our chapter for good. People think revenge is loud, that it's shouting, exposure, destruction. But sometimes the truest revenge is rebuilding quietly while they crumble on their own. Because nothing breaks an abuser more than seeing the people they hurt finally happy. I paused, staring at my reflection on the screen. There was no anger left in my face, just peace, age, and a certain kind of beauty that only comes after surviving. So, if you're still listening, tell me in the comments, what does peace mean to you after betrayal? And don't forget to subscribe, because sometimes revenge isn't about striking back. It's about standing tall, walking away, and letting life finish the sentence you never had to say.